Alright guys, Israel back again with Heavy Metal Reptiles. We're going to go over today 5 snakes that are going to be more active and kind of more fun to hold. Honestly, this is like based off preference for me and what I enjoy. My obsession actually didn't make it on the list, which is ball pythons. Or not really my obsession, but what started my trip into the hobby. So it's kind of odd, but we're going to cover a few different species of snakes. Believe it or not, let's see, I've got 2 different pythons put down on this list, and this is going to be kind of based off of how active they're going to be, how easy they are to hold, and just how fun and exploring they are when you're holding them. So, and along with, some size facts and stuff like that. So we'll jump into the first one. Alright, number 5 is blood pythons. The reason blood pythons are at number 5 is pretty much because of their attitude. They're very alive when you have them out. They explore a lot, but they're very defensive too, I think would be a good word. The blood pythons I've handled, they're very nippy. They got some big heads, so they could probably do some damage if they grabbed a hold of you. I've personally not been bit by one, but I've had one strike at me. Actually, I've had a few strike at me holding them. So, in any animal, as far as snakes go, they can't really be tamed, but they can be tamed down a little bit to where you can hold them a little bit better. So, blood python's definitely a snake you're going to hold, you're going to want to keep an eye on. But they're really fun because they're kind of moving. They aren't like this guy, where he's constantly moving and pretty quick about it. They're a little bit slower in how they move, but they're also a heavier snake. Online, they're saying these guys get between 10 to 30 pounds. I wrote that down as a side note. I've never seen a 30-pound blood python, but that's what it says online. And they're averaging around 4 to 6 feet. Don't you dare. Don't you. Ow! Saw that coming. Why you gotta do that, dude? Why you gotta do that? I knew what you were doing as soon as you wrapped my arm up. He just barely got his tooth in me. Yeah, you're gonna try and do it again. Come on, don't be like this. Okay, we're gonna put you on the table for a second. Just let you kind of explore. He's barely got that tooth in me. For the record, is it still recording? Okay. For the record, that doesn't hurt. For whatever reason, my instinct is ow, and I still pull away when I get bit by anything, which you're not supposed to do, and it's hard not to. Even some of the people I know that's been keeping snakes for 30 plus years still pull away when they get bit. That was actually a hunger instinct there, I think, because it is his week to feed. He'll be getting fed tomorrow, and these snakes are extremely intelligent, so he probably knows that's what's going on. Hey dude. Hey dude. Are you licking the cup?
He's condensation.
Okay, you're wrapped in the mic. Let me move the mic over. Put it there. Come here. And since that happened, we're going to just talk about it for a second. Never be afraid of getting bit from your animal, especially something this size. He's bit me now. That's the 5th or 6th time he's bit me. It doesn't hurt. It didn't draw blood or anything. Like I said, I just say ow for whatever it's instinctively done. Like I said, I'm working on not pulling away from them. I try to actually get away from them before they bite me, especially with the pythons. Luckily, I've not been bit by them. Anyways, back to blood pythons. They do say online they get up to 30 pounds, which personally, never seen a 30-pound blood python. Not saying it doesn't happen. I just personally haven't seen one out of any of my friends' collections or even at pet stores or anything like that. They do average between 4 to 6 feet is what I've seen. More of like 4 to 5 feet is normal that I've seen, but it's a python. It's not unheard of if they see 6 foot long. You gonna bite me again? I know you're hungry, dude. So, anyways, they pretty much rank so low on this list, or high, however you want to look at it, because of their attitudes primarily. For the most part, they're a good girthy snake. They're longer, so and they're very aware and curious about things. So they're a little bit funner to hold and take a little bit more concentration, which in my opinion makes it a little bit more fun to handle. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. Okay, so number 4 is rainbow boas. And from my personal experience, they're pretty fun to handle. The ones I've handled have been pretty curious when I've had them out, wanting to know what's going on, and kind of exploring a little bit while I'm holding them. They can have a little bit of an attitude. The ones I've held personally haven't had any signs of aggression towards me or anything. But they get a good, decent length of about 7 feet, kind of like a length to size ratio as far as body is kind of a little bit bigger than what he is length to size. So they're getting a little bit thicker, but they're going to be a longer snake, so they're going to be a little more sleek. They do burrow, so that's kind of what their bodies are set up for. But when you own one, it's like owning a jar of dirt until you get him out and you show off what you have. You know what I mean? So, like I said, they're fun to handle. They can have an attitude. Again, from what I've experienced with them, it's not been it's been virtually none. That's why I put them ahead of the blood python, even though boas are commonly known for their attitudes. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. So number 3 is carpet pythons. Somebody is watching this right now going, oh, I've held a carpet python. Those are terrible to hold. Yes and no. I do think their attitudes are a little bit better than a blood python's. I do think their attitudes are even a little bit better than what you see with a lot of rainbow boas. The thing is with a carpet python is they get pretty girthy. They get a pretty good length, talking 8 feet for the length of them, and they're getting up to 30 pounds. And that definitely I can see. Again, that was a Google poll. I've held one carpet python, and it wasn't close to 30 pounds. He was pretty hefty, but I know he wasn't 30 pounds. So, and I don't even think that one was a full grown. I think he was steady 6 feet, 5-6 feet probably. So they're fun to hold. They're really entertaining. They kind of like the blood python, I guess, where they're really kind of aware of what's going on. They're curious about things, so you kind of find yourself watching them quite a bit, like I have to do a zoom, where you find yourself watching them and what they're doing, focused to see how they're reacting to being held and to see what they're kind of curious about. I think personally, when you're holding your snake, that's one thing to be aware of, is to see what they're curious about. For me, it helps me come up with ideas to put in their cages. You know, if I have him out and he's looking for a place to climb and he's kind of exploring and going up, I'm going to want to get him more climbing stuff in his enclosure to go up a little bit more. So, I think that carpet pythons are something that are going to be really fun and neat to interact with while you're holding them. They're going to keep you engaged and kind of keep you moving. And along with any snake, I guess, really, you should always be watching them and kind of watching what they're doing. I always try to keep an eye on Zoom, and especially like Courtney, of course, when I have her out, and Baphomet. So it's just something that you keep in mind and things with all snakes. But a carpet python's definitely going to keep you on your toes a little bit more. They're actually pretty quick. At least the one that I had held was pretty quick, and I've seen others that are pretty fast on their bellies. So, just something to take into consideration when holding them is just that they aren't going to be a calm, laid-back snake. They aren't going to be a relaxed snake. They're going to be something you're going to be keeping moving with. But for me, that makes it a more interesting experience with holding them. Part of the reason why I like having this guy out so much. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. So, number 2 is red tail boas. Red tail boas made it into number 2 because for a bigger snake, they are extremely good when it comes to their moods and their attitudes, in my opinion. I have held plenty of red tail boas. Obviously, you can find them in almost any pet store, and I really haven't come across a bad one. They know they're big. That's their thing, I think, with them. They know they're a big animal, and they're very confident when you're holding them. Compared to your ball python, where they're curl up in a ball and they're just hang out and chill, that boa knows that he doesn't necessarily pose a threat for you, but that you aren't going to really mess with him too much. You know, I think it's an instinctive thing for them where they're kind of, you know, I'm awesome kind of deal. You know, they're going to be a more confident snake is kind of how I like to describe that. And again, that can be a good and a bad thing, but like I said, as far as their temperaments and attitudes go, never really held a bad red tail boa, so there's nothing wrong in my opinion with them being a little more confident when you're holding them. They are going to be semi-exploring, and again is why they made it to number 2. They're going to be a snake that's going to chill with you. They're going to move very slow. They're going to hang out and explore, and you're going to have to pay a little bit of attention to where your hands are when you're holding them and things, but for the most part it's not going to be sitting here chasing them like I am with Zoom here. They're going to be a bigger, girthier snake. You know, I guess they're getting up around 22 pounds, some of them, you know, and 7 to 9 feet long. So my uncle had one named Gertrude, and it got up to 9 feet. I have pictures of laying next to it where it's way longer than I am. She was a great snake. But again, with boas, even though I say they have a good attitude when being held, you are talking a bigger snake. You are talking a snake that knows it's big and has the confidence to back up its power. So, with that being said, my uncle also got bit by Gertrude once or twice. Like I've said, you can't base it off of if the snake's going to bite you or not. Zoom bit me at the beginning of this video. He's a noodle. You know, you can't base your handed ability off of if the snake is going to bite you or not. You've got to base it off the all-around attitude of the snake. This guy, for whatever reason, is just in a biting mood because he keeps setting up like he wants to bite me. And that's another thing with knowing your animals that I've talked about multiple times. I know before he bites me that he's going to bite me. It's just the way I react to it and how I'm going to handle it. Like I said, when it does bite me, I say ow and I pull away. It doesn't really actually hurt. And you shouldn't pull away. You should try to just take the bite, especially with these guys who are usually going to bite and let go once they realize you're not food and you're way bigger than they are. Sometimes I've seen some where they just keep going, but for the most part you don't want to pull away. You can risk pulling teeth and stuff too. Okay, back on topic. Boas are a bigger snake, so the bites can be pretty bad, but again, I don't think they're anything to be scared of when handling. Just knowing your snake, knowing his attitude. It's the same way you don't go to a reticulated python's cage that you don't know, open it up and try and pull it out. You know, you want to know your snake and get a good established relationship with him if you have one. So, that being said, if you get that relationship, you can tell their attitudes and know when to get them out and when it's okay to get them out and hold them and kind of, you're zoom, and kind of understand its mood and even try and predict when it's going to strike, because there's going to be times when the mood's good, getting them out and becomes a bad thing. So just something to keep in mind. But we'll go on to the next. Alright, and the first one, the number one on the list, is king snakes, corn snakes, milk snakes, you know, stuff from the colubrid category. I kind of call them like field snakes, because they're, you know, you find them a lot in fields or in fields, Everglades, maybe. I don't know. I just call them, that's kind of how I refer to them when I'm talking to like my buddies that don't know anything about them. It's kind of like a field snake. Corn snakes, don't bite me. Corn snakes, milk snakes, and king snakes are like what I would say the holy grail of holding. I know I just got bit by him at the beginning of the video. Again, you cannot base your handling off of that. Yeah, every snake's capable of biting. But these guys are just so fun to hold. They're active when you get them out. I mean, you guys obviously have seen he hasn't stopped moving, and he's like this every time I get him out. And to be honest with you, for the most part, they're actually really nice snakes. They are known for biting. King snakes especially are known to be nippy. Corn snakes I've always known to be nippy. Apparently that's unpopular belief. Apparently corn snakes never bite. I've just always known them to bite. Don't you bite me. Don't you bite me. And that's part of what I love about him, is I have to watch this guy. Especially when my son's here. I can't let his face get anywhere close to my son, because you never know when he's gonna get into this mood. They get to a good size for handling. They stay really slim and thick or sleek, but they reach between 2 to 4 feet. I've heard some species have reached up to 6 feet. Certain king snakes. I couldn't tell you what species that is. It's just what Google said. I've never seen a species of king snake up to 6 foot. I think I've seen a 5 foot Florida king once. Zoom here is probably 4-ish feet. They're just a good handling size for the most part. These thinner snakes can be a lot more fun, a lot more fast. So I definitely recommend these as one of your better handling snakes. Their temperaments for the most part, again, you've got to learn to read your snake. This guy seemed alright pulling him out. Yeah, he did bite me. Like I said, though, it's probably my fault. Tomorrow's feeding day, and he's probably thinking, oh, it's time to get fed. So it also goes into a lot of the handler and what their decision was that day, if you're going to get bit or not, and how the snake's attitude's going to be. So just something to keep in mind, but I definitely think these guys deserve their number one spot on the handling scale, at least for your everyday owner. If you heard him just hiss, don't know why he hissed, bud. You've been out forever now. Maybe you're ready to go back. We'll do the outro and I'll put you back. Sound goody? Alright, we'll go on to the outro. With closing, I guess, the one thing I do want you guys to take from this is these are just my opinions. Some of these snakes are going to be a little more aggressive. Like I said, the blood pythons, they get their name, or they're given their name respectfully. They are known to bite, and they do have a pretty nasty bite. I don't think it's anything that's going to necessarily send you to the hospital, but it is a pretty nasty bite sometimes. So, and I mean, I proved at the beginning of this video, or towards the beginning of this video, that this guy even will bite. I mean, so just think about that when you're thinking about a good handling snake, and especially with a lot of these snakes I've mentioned, because they're more active, they are going to be more likely to bite. So I just want you guys to be aware of that when you're looking for an active snake. Your ball pythons don't bite as much because they curl up and ball, unless it's Courtney, and they kind of just vibe out and do their thing. So just something to keep in mind, you know. But yeah, I think I'm going to leave it with that, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, you know, get a hold of me on the comments here on YouTube or Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and go ahead and let me know how I can improve the videos, maybe ways I can go more in depth with the lists, things I can do to keep your guys' attention a little bit better maybe that I'm not doing. Feel free to criticize. I'm always good with constructive criticism. And like, subscribe, come back and hang out on the next video. See you guys later.